but this affected me personally. Our house burned down several years ago. Maybe I have a hard time with dates. I think 6 years ago. And we moved into a leased house up on the hill in the interim, waiting for permits, which, by the way, I'm still waiting.
Wow.
And we were there 4 years, and during those 4 years, we both started getting sick. Now, we are health nuts, as we are often criticized for being.
Right.
And my husband started getting like sinus all the time, and red eyes and watery eyes, and sneezing, and then he started having facial spasms and grimacing, like an inability to control it. And I ended up with my stomach. I'm rather thin, and I would wake up with, yeah, like my stomach would like blow up like a basketball at the end of the day, and I think, what did I eat? And then I ended up in the hospital in anaphylactic shock, and it was diagnosed as cancer. I'd never seen so much cancer. And it turns out, they had wanted to start me on chemotherapy that day. It turns out they were wrong. The pre-Parkinson's that they were telling my husband he had, they were wrong, and I kept saying he's too healthy to have Parkinson's. It was black mold. Under our house that we leased, there was an unfinished room with standing water, like Little Shop of Horrors. The black mold, the worst kind, Strachybotris, was climbing up in the drywall, up through the air conditioning ducts, and making us deathly sick. So once we discovered what it was, we had to leave that house like bandits, and again leave our stuff. We had had it all burned before. As we were rebuilding our life, we had to leave that behind, because you can't take the moldy stuff with you. You can clean your clothes, you can wash them, but
and
sofas
this is
and things.
commonplace, probably.
Well,
right?
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, here in in New Jersey, the Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
I interviewed the 5 top environmental doctors in the country. There are more. I can only fit 5, and this book is like going to the doctors with them, because they all gave me the best. But Dr. Shoemaker, who's a mold expert, he said, those people who had the flooding, he said they think their problem is the wet building. He said their health problems haven't even begun. And having experienced it, I know it takes time and patience. We were so badly hit that it's taken us 4 years. I no longer have a basketball, but
I noticed.
what was causing that, and I think for a lot of people watching, when you have bloating and cramping and you don't know what it is, mold, candida, yeast, fungus, cancer, all are similar organisms. They thrive on one thing, and that is sugar. So it didn't matter if I was just, like one day I had a date, and that's when I started piecing it together. A date, which is a healthy food, lots of selenium.
Yeah, but it's got
sugar, and the little organisms in there go, yes, a happy meal, and they multiply 52 million times in a 24-hour period. So that was the basketball.
Stay where you are. I want to talk about what people could do about that. I also want to touch on the Thigh Master that we saw, and also talk about Las Vegas.
Yes,
because
me too.
you got a show in Vegas, the whole thing going on. All right, we're coming back with Suzanne Somers, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. Keep it tuned right here on Newsmax Television on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, welcome back. We're back with Suzanne Somers, her brand new book, which you have to get, Tox-Sick, From Toxic to Not Sick. And all right, so you were talking about mold, but this book isn't just about mold and the ill effects of that. This says about so much more. The epidemic of ADD, ADHD, OCD, bipolar, schizophrenia, asthma, autism, childhood cancer, dyslexia, dyspraxia, autoimmune, lupus, fibromyalgia, it goes on. And nobody's thinking about where it's coming from. And this book follows the pathway, how the chemicals come in and get into the GI tract, eat holes through the barrier wall of your GI tract, and then it leaks out into the bloodstream, goes looking for organs of opportunity, the brain being the favorite target because they like to live in fat, and the brain is 65% fat. And a stat that I think that we have to be so alarmed about. The childhood cancer rate has risen since 1950. Listen to this. 67.1% in children. And they are born toxic now, according to the Environmental Working Group. Common sense would dictate they would be born healthier because we have such great prenatal care compared to what we used to. We know so much more, but it's not the case. If the mother's toxic, then the baby's toxic. If the mother gives birth cesarean, then they're even in worse shape. And so the book... And you tell people what to do. What to do. Yeah, doctors to see what to do about this. Right.
These are the doctors who get what's happening. They're Western doctors stepped out of the standard of care box, and there's a whole protocol in there for detoxing. It's what we did. My husband no longer has the facial tics. He doesn't have the
That's great.
sinus. I don't have the basketball.
Yeah, that's great. No. All right. So again, Tox-Sick, one of the best titles for a book of, and it tells the story of the book. It's great. It was a very clever title. Okay.